Some people say cinema is dead. Various major YouTubers might even have you believe that film studios are no longer capable of putting out anything worth your time or money. For most of 2024, I would argue it's been more difficult than ever to go into the year's newest releases with high expectations.
People call us uglies.
Thankfully, over the last few weeks and months, I've been able to seek out and catch up on some genuinely amazing features, in many cases from filmmakers whose work I wasn't yet familiar with. While they may not be for everyone, these, in my opinion, are the best films of 2024. La Chimera is an Italian period drama set in the 1980s, written and directed by
Alice Rohrwacher
and released in the UK in May of 2024. The film follows British former archaeologist Arthur, played by Josh O'Connor. After serving a number of years in prison for stealing artefacts from tombs of the deceased, Arthur returns to his ex-girlfriend Beniamina's family home in Italy, despite the fact that she herself has been missing for quite some time. Nevertheless, her mother treats Arthur like family, better than even her own blood-related daughters, providing him with his own space in their densely packed estate and allowing him to smoke indoors. O'Connor's performance is, for me, one of the most memorable of the year, and showcased a certain depth and range that I didn't necessarily get out of his role in Challengers. As he finds himself drawn back to the very people and pursuits that led to his incarceration, he starts to rekindle the spark he once had for life, unwittingly finding a connection with a young woman working on the estate by the name of Italia. My relationship with this film is a unique one, at least among the other entries on this list, in that I wasn't exactly sure just how much I got out of my experience upon a first viewing. The visual dynamics and specific authenticity of La Chimera's presentation were never in question. This was without a doubt a film that I had a great deal of respect for, but my detached appreciation for its individual components and inability to be swept up by their total sum meant that I was initially unable to connect to its characters on a human level, in the way that I think writer-director
Alice Rohrwacher
were intended. Rohrwacher seems to not only have anticipated such a wide range of perspectives, but has openly welcomed, even relishing in, all manner of responses people have had to this film.
I'm her biggest fan, so for me it's like the answer to describe her films is that they are perfect. Some of the greatest artists in cinema and in theatre, like Marcel Marceau, one of his theories was celebrating the accident, and Alice celebrates the accidents all the time. The mistakes happen, and they are beautiful, and they happen because Alice creates this environment where the world is totally real.
This really is a piece of work that only becomes more meaningful and poetic upon closer inspection and additional reflection. Every plot thread, every visual choice, every line of dialogue can be identified as significant contributions to the film's greater explorations of morality and introspection, as well as its examinations of our relationships with the dead and, by extension, with the past. La Chimera is a quietly beautiful film, and I would recommend it to anyone with the patience and open-mindedness to sit through an over 2-hour-long film not in the English language. But don't go in expecting to have all of your questions answered right away. 9 out of 10. The Substance is a darkly satirical body horror film written and directed by French filmmaker Coralie Fargeat. This marks her second feature and her first film in the English language, transcending all typical horror genre connotations to earn a spot in top-tier award discussions, surely exceeding all her expectations for its reception. The story centres on Elizabeth Sparkle, played by Demi Moore, an ageing actress turned celebrity fitness coach who is cruelly fired on her 50th birthday. Desperate to reclaim her youth, she seeks out a mysterious company offering a treatment called The Substance, which promises to turn her into a younger, more perfect version of herself.
Have you ever dreamt of a better version of yourself? Younger, more beautiful, more perfect.
In many ways, The Substance stands in stark contrast to the meditative pace of La Chimera. It's a film that demands a reaction, whether it's revulsion, laughter, discomfort. I challenge anyone to experience this film without forming a strong opinion or having visceral, involuntary responses to its deliberately provocative scenes.
Contract, contract, contract.
Contract. Head between your legs.
Back to 1, please. Sorry, it's the control room now. The director said he saw something bizarre on the monitor.
Can I have my dressing gown? Sorry, it's in your dressing room. Well, then go and get it.
Take this frame by frame.
I need 5 minutes.
At its core, The Substance is a bold exploration of aging, body dysmorphia, and the violence, both internal and societal, that women endure. The body horror elements serve as an inspired allegory for these themes, forcing us to confront the ugliness that can arise from our obsession with youth and perfection. Farjah's personal connection to this story is evident, as she has openly discussed how writing the script allowed her to process her own insecurities about aging as a woman in her 40s. Having achieved her greatest career success at what society often deems a late stage in life, one can only hope that The Substance serves as a powerful reminder to Farjah and to others that life and creativity don't expire with age. There are few films in recent memory that have left such a lasting impact on me. Until recently, I was even convinced that nothing could surpass The Substance as the best film of the year. From the utterly grotesque yet endlessly mesmerising prosthetics, practical effects and makeup,
come on, Sue. So funny, I need to take a piss. Sue, open the door.
to the exaggerated yet pitch-perfect performances,
That's what we want tonight! Pretty girls should always smile!
the film's visceral impact is undeniable. The writer-director never shies away from showcasing the film's greatest assets, and her influences are evident throughout the film, both in the aesthetic choices and in the deliberate, unflinching narrative. The Substance aims to get its hooks in you early, thanks to its uniquely intriguing premise and a script that balances absurdity with strikingly grounded themes. The exposition is minimal, but the world it builds is rich and content-heavy. The film's style is nothing short of spectacular, with meticulous cinematography and a style of editing that seems to almost take on a life of its own. Every shot seems to pulse with the tension of the film's narrative, making the viewing experience feel intense and immersive. There is no shortage of praise to heap on The Substance. It's easily one of the most significant horror films in recent years, and its impact should not be underestimated. If anything, we can only hope that studios take the right lessons from its success, especially in its unapologetic approach to storytelling, its bold exploration of uncomfortable themes, and its commitment to pushing the boundaries of the genre. 9 out of 10. Memoir of a Snail is a stop-motion animated black comedy drama, written, directed and produced by Australian filmmaker Adam Elliott, best known for his cult classic Mary and Max from 2009. From the visual style alone, it's clear that Memoir of a Snail shares similarities with Elliott's earlier work, yet it easily manages to stand apart, forging its own identity while diving even deeper into some profoundly mature themes. Despite its animated form, this is not a film for children. Quite the opposite, in fact.
Rabbit face, rabbit face, rabbit face, rabbit face. Give me that.
Though it leans heavily into its comedic moments, Memoir of a Snail is at its core an emotional rollercoaster, and it's hard not to be swept up by its complex charm. The film is a delicate balance of thoughtfulness, sweetness, and gut-wrenching tragedy, capturing the chaotic, often painful reality of life in a way that few films, animated or otherwise, ever manage. On paper, the plot might seem like one of the most devastating stories ever put to film, but its tonal flexibility, exceptional voice acting, and breathtaking visual design prevent it from ever tipping into unrelenting bleakness.
He was always practicing. Oh shit! We got little scars from the sparks, and when we put our arms together, they formed a face. It felt great when we did this. Our feelings aligned.
In an interview with The Guardian, Elliott reflected on the common critique that his films are too dark, even acknowledging a particular IMDb review that claimed his work is all the same. While he agreed that his films often feature sad endings and characters who die, he rejects the notion that everything must conform to the sanitized, happy endings of mainstream cinema, such as those found in Disney films. Throughout the first half of Memoir of a Snail, I was fully absorbed in the film's world. However, there's one pivotal sequence, the burning of a church, that stands out as both awe-inspiring and horrifying in a way that even few horror films can match. It's a moment of such intense emotional and visual power that it lingers long after the credits roll. One aspect of this film that deserves more attention is the original score, by Elena Katz-Schernen. The film features several sequences that are already striking on their own, but the orchestral score elevates them to an entirely new level, amplifying their emotional weight to a ridiculous degree. The semi-autobiographical influences of Elliott's life are evident throughout Memoir of a Snail, and perhaps it's these personal touches that allow his stories to resonate with such a wide audience. Ultimately, Memoir of a Snail is a masterpiece, one that makes you feel every emotion under the sun. It deserves recognition as an extraordinary work of cinema, whether animated or not. 10 out of 10. Enora is a comedy drama written and directed by Sean Baker, whose career trajectory from Tangerine to The Florida Project to Red Rocket has solidified him as one of the most exciting and consistently evolving directors in contemporary cinema. With Enora, it's clear that Baker's creative range only grows more daring, proving his mastery in balancing humour, pathos, and raw human complexity. The plot centres on the titular exotic dancer played by Mikey Madison, who navigates her nightly routine until a Russian heir to a billionaire family becomes infatuated with her. Initially, it seems like the classic setup for a romance or a thriller, but Baker flips expectations on their head. Without giving too much away, Enora's trajectory takes a sharp turn in a direction that defies the usual conventions of the genre, making subversion a key source of enjoyment here. Perhaps the film's most unexpected delight is how consistently hilarious it is.
Oh God! Okay, bye! Ты чё? Куда? Не отпускай меня! Держи ее! Иван! Oh my fucking God!
I initially anticipated something in the vein of True Romance, a heightened, darkly comic romance that would build into a thriller, but Enora shares more in common with films like Good Time or After Hours, bearing an unpredictable pacing and tension, but with an essential levity that keeps it from veering into full-on anxiety territory.
You mean I have to wait? You mean we have to wait right now, bro? Yes? Yes? I am fucking with you, dude.
The portrayal of Ivan's father's inept goons is a standout, with their comically disastrous attempts to manage the situation teetering on the edge of absurdity, while maintaining a constant sense of danger and tension. The performances across the board are stellar, with perfect casting that elevates the entire experience. Each actor brings a level of authenticity that makes every moment feel grounded, no matter how absurd the scenario. Mikey Madison in particular delivers a standout performance, imbuing Enora with a depth and complexity that is rare in characters of this type. The buzz surrounding Enora suggests that Baker might finally be on the verge of the widespread recognition he has long deserved. It's a film that I've already seen multiple times and could watch over and over. Of all the entries on this list, I believe Enora to be the most wide appealing, and you really owe it to yourself to at least give this film a chance. 10 out of 10. I sincerely expected Enora to be my favourite film of 2024, but there was one film I managed to catch right at the end of the year that came out of nowhere and genuinely blew me away.
People call us uglies.
There's no other film from the past year, or even in recent memory, that has resonated with me as deeply as How to Make Millions Before Grandma Dies. At first glance, this film appears to be a simple drama with a seemingly bleak, perhaps even formulaic premise, underscored by a darkly comedic tone not unlike other indie films exploring similar themes. It's easy for a story like this to slip into sentimentality, yet the relationships at its core are rich, layered and complicated in a way that feels strikingly authentic.
นั่นไฟกูนมคนอะไรว่าจะไปยานอยู่ตรงนั้นจะไปรู้เหรอนี่นมกูไม่ได้ยานขนาดนั้นหรอก
The protagonist's initial motivation to bond with his dying grandmother stems from the hope that she'll leave him what little she has when she passes. A selfish impulse, yes, but one that never fully fades, adding a subtle complexity to his character arc. Pat Bunitapat's intimate direction creates the perfect space for performances that, despite being from a completely different culture and language, genuinely move me to tears. It's a rare feat for a film to transcend such boundaries and still strike a universal emotional chord.
เมื่อตอนมึงเด็กๆอ่ะมึงกลัวผีมานอนเนี่ยระหว่างกูกับอากงเนี่ยทุกคืนน่ะให้มึงฟังจนมึงหลับอ่ะมั่วมึงไม่กลัวก็ดีแล้วล่ะเพราะอากงอ่ะชอบมาเดินป้วนเปี้ยนอยู่ข้างล่างน่ะทุกคืนน่ะ
Technically, this film is equally remarkable. The use of wide shots and close-ups feel deliberate and inspired, always finding the perfect moment to either draw us in closer to the characters' faces or push us away, emphasizing their isolation or internal conflict. As difficult as it may be to endure the emotional weight of this film ever again, its themes demand reflection at every stage of life. The medium of film may be my favourite art form, but I never expect to connect to any movie in the way that I did with How to Make Millions Before Grandma Dies. It's by a narrow margin, and I can easily see my opinion changing at some point in the future, but for now, How to Make Millions Before Grandma Dies is definitely my favourite film of 2024. 10 out of 10.